Today on the news and why it matters, Trump's really racist tweets about Baltimore and the shooting at Gilroy Garlic, and it all starts right now. Welcome, I'm Sarah Gonzalez. Stu, I know you and David both have something to say. Actually, I think Jason probably has a lot to say on this as well.
A little bit.
Trump's tweets over the weekend about Baltimore.
Yes, we're gonna. I mean, I am fascinated by this, and mainly because it's just this ultimate tribal example, right? Like, he didn't say anything about race. He didn't say anything about trying to. He didn't say anything that everyone didn't agree with on Thursday or Friday. Like, everyone agreed on these things Thursday and Friday, and then all of a sudden, Trump says one thing, and now everyone has to take the other side of it. So let's go back at Bernie Sanders here. This is from 2015. Bernie Sanders talking about Baltimore and what he thought of it.
But anyone who took the walk that we took around this neighborhood would not think you're in a wealthy nation. You would think that you were in a third world country.
Uh-oh.
But today what we're talking about is a community in which half of the people don't have jobs. We're talking about a community in which there are hundreds of buildings that are uninhabitable. We're talking about a community where kids are unable to go to schools that are decent.
If they could only get a couple Democrats to run that city, then
how long are the Democrats
turn around?
Baltimore?
I know.
How racist is it, Stu, to say that it's like visiting a third world country?
It is amazing, isn't it? That's completely okay, apparently. In fact, we've discovered recently is actually Baltimore is considerably worse than a third world country. I mean, it's much worse than most of Central America when it comes to murder rates. It's definitely a lot different.
And Jason, I saw that you had a tweet that you actually said, what were the places, the countries where Baltimore has a higher rate of crime?
Yeah, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. These are countries that they're saying that the immigration activists are saying they should come here because of gang violence, because of things like the homicide rate.
So these are asylum seekers that the left is saying should be granted asylum because of this violence.
Right, and the Baltimore homicide rate is way higher. I mean, it's way higher. 56 per 100,000 people. I think it was like 342 from the last time homicides from the last time we had the data, which is I think in 2017, which again makes it the homicide capital of the United States.
Yeah,
I think we should give people asylum to the suburbs from Baltimore. We should allow them in. Any DC suburb they want to go to, I think, should be allowed now.
That changed some mind.
That would change some mind. But this has been going on for a long time. Go back to 1989. This is a state senator in Maryland, and he kind of gives the same take of Bernie Sanders and the same take as Donald Trump. Watch.
It helps educate my constituents as to why Baltimore needs the economic help. I mean, Baltimore is a it's worse than inner city Washington, D.C. It is I hope you're not going to play this on tape. I mean, it is a war zone. I mean, it's crack. I mean, it's, these dime bags of PCP. I mean, they've got 1/4 of every kid is not in school each day. 50% of the kids who start off in school don't graduate. So, looking at things from a statewide perspective, we really have to do things to help.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I guess you do.
He did not hold back.
No. Well, and everybody knows this, right? Like, I mean, there's been tons of fiction that's been done about these, about Baltimore, and all, from The Wire to what was it, Homicide, the show that was on before that. Bottom line is, like, these are things. I mean, this is a beat writer in Baltimore who writes for the Baltimore Sun. Now, the Baltimore Sun is coming out and calling Trump racist for saying the same things that everyone knew was true on Friday.
So is the creator of The Wire. Yeah. That you just referenced, The Wire. The creator of The Wire came out and said that Trump's tweets were racist and condemned them.
Look, you can. It is.
Wasn't it both? Didn't you show clips of white guys?
Yes, they were white guys.
But nobody ever said they were racist?
No, I don't think so.
It is interesting.
It really is.
He really put it down.
Yeah.
You were just.
Oh yeah.
Look, you're really guessing here. If you want to, you can say. I mean, look, if you want to say that you think Donald Trump is a racist, that is your opinion, and you can try to back it up. I don't think there's a lot of evidence there. You can attempt to do that if you want, though. I mean, as an opinion person, that is up to you, right? You can build a case however you like. The idea that journalists are coming out and saying it as if it's a sure thing. The man didn't even reference something about race It wasn't even like a, okay, we're talking about affirmative action or something like that. This is legitimately, he's just saying there's a lot of crime in Baltimore, which everyone knows. And what happens with the media here is they get so sure of themselves and they've built up such a narrative in their own heads that Donald Trump is a racist, that every time he says anything about anyone who happens to be black or Hispanic or whatever it is, they are assuming it is coming from a racial motive. And that is incredibly dangerous for
I don't even think they're assuming. I think they're pushing the narrative. So they look for any time he says something about a situation that the situation happens to be underneath somebody's realm that is a minority, and it's, here's an opportunity for us to paint him as a racist.
Yeah, I do, and I want to get back to that tweet because I want to make sure that I'm sure podcast listeners, I'm sure that they've heard it by now. But I'd like to just go ahead and just spell out. He just said, Donald Trump over the weekend, as proven last week during a congressional tour, the border is clean, efficient, and well run, just very crowded. Cummings district is a disgusting rat and rodent infested mess. If he spent more time in Baltimore, maybe he could help clean up this very dangerous and filthy place. Now, I feel like, if I may, David, the left would say that you are the only one at this table with credibility to discuss the matter. Does he?
I think you'd have the least amount of credibility,
they would say because they make such a big deal on pigment. Everything's color based on color and race.
I'm not even allowed to speak because my skin is too white.
Yeah, I could never be called a racist. It's just not possible for me to be called a racist because I've got dark skin, and nothing's further from the truth.
Right.
Nothing was racist about that tweet. Nothing that he said was racist about the 4 horsewomen of the apocalypse. He just states his facts. Kind of like the mayor of Baltimore from '89?
It was the state senator from Maryland.
State senator. He was just talking the truth. He was just telling the truth. And that's what our president continues to do. Are we going to go back to my clip next?
Yeah, we can go to that.
I just, we were talking about, Stu, how the mainstream media and journalists, and to me, they're all on the same side, continuing to trying to push a narrative that they know is not true. I don't think they care. I really don't think they care.
That's interesting, yeah.
I think they're doing it for ratings, but I think they're doing it because they truly believe. I think they see actually a lot more than maybe a lot of us do, that if Donald Trump continues to do what he's doing, when are they ever going to elect a Democrat again? And that'll go to the state level and it'll be nationwide. So I had to make a video because it's not just the fact that the mainstream media will try to take something and then call a racist. It's like they are intentionally trying to take words that are void of race and use it to paint against our president. So CNN, this guy on CNN, is trying to take the word infested. A lot of people have probably seen that clip. I had to add my own little take on what this meant to me.
Let's watch.
Just 2 weeks ago, President Trump attacked 4 minority congresswomen. Why don't they go back to the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? Reminder, 3 of them were born here. All of them are American. Infested, he says.
Okay, CNN, I think I see where you're going. Now, please tell us how this word infested all of a sudden has something to do with black and brown people.
Donald Trump has tweeted more than 43,000 times. He's insulted thousands of people, many different types of people. But when he tweets about infestation, it's about black and brown people.
I've never heard nothing like that before in my life. The word infestation is now supposed to be something to have to do with black and brown people?
No, I mean, you're mocking it there, which you should, because it's funny.
It is.
But is it not a little bit racist or a lot racist to presume that saying that something is infested with rodents is somehow comparing it to black and brown people? How do you make that jump?
Well, he was trying to. That's what that's like 1 minute out of a 6-minute video I did. They can get the whole thing on any of my channels. But he's building a case, like step by step, trying to build this case. He starts out with a tweet the president made about Cummings, about Baltimore, and about the district. He starts there, then he turns it into Ilhan Omar. He shows this whole panel. One thing that's not in that part, he showed the panel of all the black folks you could see, or colored people, if you want to say colored people, right? People with pigment, from Ilhan Omar to Rashid Tlaib to Cummings to all the individuals that represent minority groups. And he's like, do you see a pattern here? And I said, yeah, I see a pattern. If all these people are really representing really bad parts of town or districts, minorities have some really bad representatives.
But also, like, the pattern is that you just decided to pull all the black people he said bad things about, right? The New York Times maintains an ongoing list of all the people that Trump has insulted, which there are now 598 people or organizations that Trump has insulted.
Wow.
But look at it. It's I would say the majority of it are white people, right? I mean, like, there are some people of color on there. Right? He's not targeting anyone. In fact, like, you go, like, when the infested word, he also uses the word drug infested to describe the very urban center of New Hampshire, which I know
mean streets.
The mean streets of New Hampshire,
right?
Right, like it's look, Trump likes to insult people who insult him. When people say bad things about him, he comes after him. It has nothing to do with skin color. And in fact, the whole thing that motivated this entire rant was a woman on Fox News going into the inner city and filming these areas that he described.
Yeah.
And she happens to be black.
Yeah,
right.
Katie Klacik,
Yeah. And it's like, well, what did he turn the racism off to watch the video and like her information and then turn it back on when he tweeted? How did that work exactly?
Right.
It really is absurd.
Well, and I would also like to play, if we can, the Baltimore mayor in 2018.
Oh.
We're talking about Donald Trump discussing specifically it being a rodent-infested place. It's disgusting. It's got rats.
This is going to be really racist too, right?
Oh, yeah. Super racist.
Absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out,
Yeah,
David.
very racist.
Yeah, so let's watch what the
racist
mayor
quote.
just back in 2018 had to say.
About a year ago, city leaders identified some of the city's most violent neighborhoods.
What the hell? You should just take all this
I need to do a video on that one
target
too. I got it.
under Baltimore's
recorded
Violence
and do.
Reduction Initiative.
Ooh, Jesus.
Just last week, we went with Mayor Pugh. She toured an East Baltimore neighborhood.
It's a new one. I've been down here 54 years. It's a new one.
Baltimore's Violence Reduction Initiative is about taking steps to rid communities of the cornerstones that contribute to
Oh
crime.
my God, you can smell the dead animals.
Blocks of dilapidated buildings help to hide the addiction that's crippled this community.
What a racist woman.
Racist.
You can smell the dead animals. But Trump is racist for saying that they're rodent infested.
I freaking love her. I want her to be rehired. She's fantastic. Oh, sure, did she scam the city out of hundreds of thousands of dollars? Sure.
Minor details.
But I just like her a lot. I want her back.
We were just talking about that. She's one of the past three of Baltimore's mayors that have left in disgrace.
Yep. 3 for 3.
Three.
Yeah.
Two for corruption, one for inciting violence.
Any Republicans in there?
I think something said that the last time a Republican was part of the local legislature was like in the 50s.
Wow.
Yeah,
1950s.
we did a stat. I think it was.
Yeah.
I want to say it was an Inconvenient Book. If you go back and find Glenn's first #1 bestseller, you go back and look at that. There's a stat in there. We went back through. I think it was 40 or 50 years of history in the top 10 cities with the highest poverty rates, and Republicans had been mayor. Like, I want to say it was like 7 or 8% of the time.
Wow.
For all of these cities together, it's like they just, at some level, this is the voters' fault. Right? Like, you can't keep voting the same crappy people in.
Absolutely.
And believing something's got to change. You got to do something different. And the fact that they won't even attempt it shows the stranglehold that the Democrats have on these cities. It's depressing.
You can say it. You can say it. The stranglehold they have on minorities.
No, I mean, absolutely.
It is a Democrat
How
stranglehold.
dare you? You racist. It's tough.
You can't call me that.
I lost my big attack.
Before we go, want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So Relief Factor is for those of you who maybe probably like all of us at the table, which is you've reached the certain age where things just start to randomly hurt. You like pull your back. People are like, what'd you do to pull your back? You're like, I slept. I don't know.
It's hard. Sleeping's hard.
I know. I vacuumed and it hurts. So if you are one of the millions of Americans who you're just constantly in pain and you think that you're just going to have to live that way, you don't have to do that. Maybe you've tried prescription drugs. They don't work for you either. A lot of you are out there spending a ton of money on prescription drugs. Don't do that. You can go to relieffactor.com. It's 100% natural. It's 4 key ingredients that target the inflammation in your body, which is Most of the time, that's the root cause of your pain, and you just don't realize it. You can get their 3-week quick start pack for $19.95. 70% of the people who try that, they go on to keep ordering more. That means it's working for the majority of people. It can work for you. There's no reason not to try it. Go to relieffactor.com, get that 3-week quick start pack for $19.95, or you can call 800-500-8384. I'm still in vacation mode. I'll be back.
I love how they're taking steps and they zoom in on the feet as they're like walking down the sidewalk, like the typical local news.
Jason, we were just discussing off air. This shooting happened at Gilroy Garlic about the same time that Trump's tweets came out about Baltimore, and really it hasn't been getting the attention that it's deserved.
I don't know, a lot of people probably just have heard about it, over the past 24 hours or so? I don't know.
I barely saw anything about it from mainstream media.
But the president's tweets, though.
Yes.
Forget this awful thing that happened, but the president's tweets.
Well, more so the president's racism.
Yeah, right.
Paint him a racist is more important than life news.
So Gilroy is in Northern California. You're from California, right?
Yeah, a little bit northern of that, up Sacramento, but yeah.
So I lived in California for a while. Talk about what it's like to actually be able to own a gun in California a little bit later in the segment. But yeah, they're calling it a mass shooting. How many do you have to shoot to do a mass shooting?
Yeah, well, I think
3 plus.
I think it's 4 shot, right? It depends. There's multiple different. There's no hardcore definition of this, which is why the numbers are so wide. But I mean, this would definitely qualify because there was 11 people injured or something like that.
Yeah. Three victims shot. The shooter was also killed. So some of them are saying 4, but it was 3. He killed 3 people, and then it was 12 to 15 that were wounded. The videos that have come out on this sound pretty crazy. You can tell it's definitely a higher powered rifle that he was using. But apparently this was a garlic festival. So we've all been to these, especially if you live in the South. Yeah. They've got tons of these festivals, and literally communities will come from all around. So I think they were saying 80,000 people came to this last year. So there was a lot of people. I think he definitely took time to say, okay, there's going to be a ton of people, just like the Las Vegas shooter. He knew there was going to be a large gathering of people. He was going to be able to get into it. They did have a lot of security there. They wanted people as they came in. They checked them. You're not getting through the main area with a gun. So he didn't go through the main area. He went around through a creek bed, cut a fence, and then snuck in that way.
Wow. Weird.
Now, as of now, they don't know what the motive is. He hasn't really said what the motive is. He's made some social media posts where it kind of seems like he might have been kind of like an anarchist, anti-capitalist type of guy.
Maybe a white supremacist too. Didn't he reference a white supremacist book of some sort?
Yeah, kind of, but maybe, I don't know. It's kind of vague. He's half Iranian, half Italian, or something like that.
Not your typical white supremacist.
He's got some inner conflict there if he's a white supremacist. But I don't really care at this point, his motive. I really don't. Of course, everyone's rushing to the gun control. Andrew Yang was jumping on it. Kamala Harris was jumping on it. Again, predictably so. They're not concentrating on these families. They're not concentrating on the real issue, which is mental health. They're not concentrating on these issues. They just want to go straight to their policy, numero uno, the guns. That's what they're going after. And it's absolutely insane. So what action do they want? Do they want stricter background checks? Do they want you to be, register your firearms? Do they want?
This is in California.
This is in California. That's the point that I'm getting
to get a gun in California.
Exactly
already?
My point. What they want the laws in place where this crime was committed. That's what they want. And the laws did nothing. Both of us lived in California. It is extremely, when you first go to get a gun, you can't just go and buy a gun. You have to take a safety course, which is the same thing as getting getting a license just to be able to exercise your Second Amendment right. Basically, for me, it's the same thing. If you don't have that safety certificate or whatever, you're not buying a gun. If you move from another state into the state of California, you have to register your firearm. You have 60 days to do it when you move into the state.
And there's still a 10-day waiting period.
There's still a waiting period.
Is it any easier for someone like you who's former military?
No, I remember that that I did have an honorable discharge. That did help for something. I don't remember. I still had to take the course. Still had to do that. In fact, when I
took a course, it was called the military.
You're right. I remember going up to buy a gun, and the guy that sold me the gun, he also was required it was either the city or the state to give me this pamphlet. The pamphlet's title was called "How to Own a Gun in California and Not Go to Jail." And I was like, where have I moved? This is insane. Like, there is still a constitution. It's in effect in this state, right? Like, it's absolutely insane. But I guess my point is everything that they're going to say that they want to go after right now, it's absolutely nuts because it didn't work in California. They already have those laws. They have laws restricting the types of semi-automatic weapons. Like they have a little switch so you can't, shoot it, rapidly. That's a whole other thing. But they've got laws now that a federal judge has actually blocked it. It's basically on hold. But they're doing the magazine limits that they want to do so much right now. Everything they want to get done. Just go to California. That's exactly what they want to get done, but it did nothing. And it's going to do nothing anywhere else.
Yeah, of course, another place you could go is Baltimore. And where you would also find massively draconian gun laws there. I mean, if these things obviously don't work, I don't even think they think that they would work. Right? I mean, none of these laws would actually prevent these things. And remember, this is a country where you already have 330 million guns. Yeah. What are you going to do? Like, they're already out there. And not to mention borders that you don't want closed where guns could flow over constantly. So, I mean, it really doesn't make any sense. I think a lot of this goes down to they just want to say that they're doing something for their constituents. They want to say that they certainly want control, but I mean, there's no outcome here where they can get control of 330 million guns. Like, that can't happen.
I hate to go back to the Baltimore thing again, but that's what they want for the entire country. They don't want law-abiding citizens to have and carry guns. They don't want that. They want to let criminals out early. Or just not arrest them at all. And they want to prosecute police officers for doing their dang job. That's what they want to export to the entire country. And look what it's done to Baltimore, Detroit, pick any other liberal hellhole in the United States. That's what they want for the entire country.
Yeah. David, last word.
It's just ludicrous. What are Americans thinking? Are Americans actually waking up? Swalwell made it really clear what he wanted to do. Most of the Democrats are making it really clear what they want to do. They favor illegals. They want to take our guns. They want us to pay for illegals' health care. They want to let illegals walk across our border with no consequences, have babies here, and then we take care of them. It's like, when are we going to start saying, wait a minute, how about Americans first? When are we going to actually start putting Americans first? And in order to do that, we've got to put politicians and leaders in office that also want to put Americans first.
Wait, and you mean actually enforce laws that we already have?
Yeah, that would be a big part of it.
Weird, what a concept. Exactly. All right, back in a minute.
Sounds silly. I don't think we should do that.
I know.
That sounds
It has been a pleasure, as always, David. I want to make sure that everyone can make sure they know where to find your videos, where to find your book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let them know.
DavidHarrisJr.com is my website. From there, you can find my Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter handle, which is David J. Harris Jr. And Why I Couldn't Stay Silent is a book that I believe will help wake people up before the 2020 election. It's definitely a must read and a must share.
By the way, I'm going to brag on you a little bit more for a second, if I may.
Sure.
This guy is like the prime entrepreneur. He does a bunch of other stuff too. He makes these juices that it's sugar-free.
Yep.
And it's all natural ingredients. He probably does it way better than I do. But the point is, it tastes delicious and it gives you energy. And I don't understand how he does it, but it really works. And you need to get you some. You got a whole line of products on there.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, all natural, GMO-free, gluten-free, sugar-free. They absolutely work. You can check those out at uncorkedliving.com. That's uncorking, like uncorking a bottle of wine. Uncorkedliving.com.
That is something I'm very familiar with.
We say there's a better you bottled up.
And then if you have not caught it, go check out Sarah Gonzalez Unfiltered on YouTube. Got a new little video up. I had to do something over the weekend when I got back from vacation. I was dying to get back to it. So you can check it out on YouTube, Sarah Gonzalez Unfiltered. Overtime starts right now.